Why, hello there. I'm currently fishing. But you know, fishing's boring, so let's talk about game storefronts. I don't like them at all. Game storefronts really suck ass. There's only like one or two that I can think of that are actually like good, and that's Steam and GOG. I guess like yeah, those are the only two I can really think of that are good, right? The other ones kind of just suck ass. Like, okay, let's talk about the Nintendo eShop. Specifically the Switch eShop, because the 3DS eShop was actually really good, and the Wii U one was good from what I've seen. I've never used the Wii U one though, so I'm not entirely sure. But the 3DS eShop, not the 3DS eShop, the Switch eShop was horrible. Is horrible actually. It's just really, really laggy. Nintendo barely optimized it. And I'm pretty sure on the Switch 2 it's exactly the same. It still sucks ass on the Switch 2 as well. And, well, do you, like, why is it like that? Why, it can't be that hard to make a storefront that isn't really, really laggy, right? No? Oh, come on, it can't be that hard. Even PlayStation and Xbox managed to do that. I do think the eShop is really laggy because I'm pretty sure it's just a web browser. Like, it's the same thing that Steam does in the Steam Deck. But the difference with the Steam Deck's store is that it's just Steam, which isn't laggy as shit. And there's another thing we need to talk about, which is, I don't know if this is still a problem. It might be. And I wouldn't be surprised if it still is, because Nintendo hasn't done anything about this for ages. But the amount of games that probably shouldn't be on an eShop, on the eShop, is laughable. Like, obviously there's AI slot games that's everywhere as well. And then there's also inappropriate games that just casually appear on the front page. By the way, Nintendo is a primarily kids audience, by the way. So they're marketing this to mostly kids, and there's no filter. If you have the parental controls on, most of the time they just don't get filtered out. It's exactly the same, which isn't, you know, the best, isn't the greatest. It can't be that hard to bloody shit. Oops. It can't be that hard to filter out inappropriate games for users of parental controls. Can't it? It can't be that hard. And then, yeah, again, with all the AI slop, the AI slop is... Yeah, it's like Nintendo just doesn't give a shit at all. I mean, Steam also has the same problem, but at least they force you to disclose that it has AI. I don't know if Nintendo does, but I've only ever heard Steam do that. I haven't heard any other company do that. In fact, I've heard some companies dislike that you have to disclose you use AI on Steam, like Epic Games, or the CEOs specifically of Epic Games, which is a whole other thing I'll get into later, but it's not fun. It's actually, I really don't like Epic Games, actually. They annoy me. They piss me off, but you know. And then there's also the PlayStation Store. I have way less experience with the PlayStation Store, but from my experience, it's not actually that bad. It's just, you know, it's owned by Sony, which most of the time isn't the worst, at least compared to something like Nintendo. But considering that recently they took like 600 titles, like movie titles, off of their online store, and they just straight removed it from people's libraries, I don't want to use that. I don't want to buy movies or games from a company that's just extremely willing to just get rid of them at a request of the people who own said stuff. I like actually owning my stuff, you know? I don't like getting it taken away from me. And then there's also Xbox, which has similar problems to the PlayStation Store, but I've actually used Xbox's store a lot. I have an Xbox One. I haven't played it in ages, but I did used to play it a lot. And from what I remember, like, the store was fine for a bit, but then they updated the UI. And on the Xbox One, specifically, it just became incredibly laggy and really annoying to use. But, Yeah, most of the time the problems with storefronts are that they're laggy or that the policies are shit. Let's talk about Epic Games now, shall we? The Epic Games launcher is shit. Don't use it. The only reason I even have an Epic Games account is so I can claim the free games in case I ever feel like playing any of those free games. That's it. Their launcher isn't even worth using. If you can, use something like Heroic or just a launcher that lets you get your Epic Games games without having the Epic Games launcher. I don't know if stuff like Heroic works on Windows because I'm a because I'm a Linux user. But most of the time, I'm sure they have like a Windows version. Just use that if you want to play Epic Games games, seriously. There's no reason to use Epic Games Launcher as it's laggy, it's shit, and it's owned by Tim Sweeney, which really doesn't like people having ownership of the stuff, and he really likes AI slop too. You've seen him, like, he's the main person who's complained about Steam forcing you to have a disclosure on AI company, like on AI if you use it in your games. He's been like one of the main people complaining about that, and it really shows what he plans on doing in the future, doesn't he? Like, it really shows how he's planning on using AI slop in his games. That's just sort of really depressing. Oh, leather. Nice. Because, well, I used to think Epic Games was quite neat. I used to think, oh yeah, they're fine. They made Fall Guys free, but they also made Fall Guys, like, worse most of the time. And though I haven't played Fall Guys in literal years, so I couldn't know if it's good or not. But yeah, Epic Games is, fallen off, as some would say. And then there's, GOG. GOG is, like, the only good company other than Steam, the only good company, at least in my experience, that actually makes good stuff or actually does like has a good storefront, you know? Like, I've barely used GOG, but they give you DRM free, copies of games so you can share them all you want, which is how I think it should work, you know? You should be able to share the games you bought. You know, that makes sense. It's logical. And then the Steam, I don't really need to talk about Steam. There's a reason it's a, quote, monopoly when it really isn't a monopoly. I don't know why people call it a monopoly. A monopoly is when a company actively tries to stop competitors from like succeeding. When Steam doesn't do anything, you just sit there and the competitors just shit themselves over and over again. Specifically Epic Games. Can you tell I don't like Epic Games? Because yeah, I really don't like Epic Games. But yeah, game launches, they need to get better, okay? As much as I like Steam, I do think there should be actually good alternatives to Steam, which in a lot of cases there are. Like, you know, there are those launches, like, as I said, Heroic or Lutris, that let you play your Epic Games and Steam games without using the launchers. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And I think that's pretty cool. Or at least it lets you launch them all from one launcher. I don't know how exactly it works. Yeah, I heard that. Enderman. Where is he? I don't know where he is. Where'd he go? Hi, Mr. Enderman. Yeah, hate me. Come on, fight me. Oh, oh, oh. Go, my dog. Yes. Get him. Yeah. That grass block will be... that's actually useful. I need that.